Greetings, everyone. Jim Walker here. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to all returning viewers. Uh, Today's video, I'm home from college today. Normally on this day of the week, I would be up at Keene State College in New Hampshire. But we've got what will hopefully be the last bit of icky wintry weather here in southern New England for the season. Snow, which is not so bad, but ice. So ice is kind of a deal breaker for me. So I've got a little bit of extra time to work with today. So I'm going to sit down and do a video that I have been sketching out for a while now. And it has to do with coming up with vibraphone parts for big band arrangements, which is something I dealt with when I was in college and high school, playing in the school big bands. And I've got students now, one in high school, one in college, dealing with the same thing. So we're going to do a series of videos here. If I do it expeditiously enough, I may combine them into a single video. However, I suspect that I'm going to break it up into 4 shorter videos, which is fine. People will be able to go to exactly what they're looking for. The genesis of this is an observation, and I doubt I'm going to get any disagreement on this. I think it's kind of a given. The vast majority of published big band arrangements played at the high school and college level do not include parts written for vibraphone or any other mallet instrument. Why that is, I think it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. Is it that the arrangers don't write vibraphone parts because they can't rely on there being a vibes player in the band? Or is it there are so few vibraphonists in bands because the arrangers don't write parts for them? Either way, I think one is reinforcing the other. So if a mallet student wants to play in the school big band, is it getting into jazz, wants an outlet for that, or if there is a teacher at a school and they have a really strong mallet player who wants to take part and they want to find a way for them to take part, someone's going to have to come up with a part for each arrangement in the big band. There are some that exist. When I was in high school, we played a couple of arrangements of Spyro charts, and Dave Samuels was such a prominent member of that band at that time. They included marimba and vibe parts in the arrangements, which was nice. My college student right now there's one chart that includes the vibes part. I think appropriately enough, I think it's an arrangement of Bag's Groove. Bag's, of course, referring to the great Milt Jackson. So appropriate that would include a vibraphone part. But he's in the same boat that I was. My high school students, the same thing, coming up with parts. And it usually will fall to the student to come up with the parts. That was my experience, and that's my observation with my students over the years. And so that means that this video, you guys, my fellow vibraphonists, you guys in high school and college, are the target audience for this video. If you are an arranger viewing this, welcome. I hope you get something out of the video. If you are a band director or a music professor, jazz studies professor, I hope you get something out of these videos. I suspect for those two groups, arrangers and professional educators, there's not going to be much in here that you don't already know. The things we're going to talk about in these videos are things that I wasn't aware of when I started out doing this in high school, and that I picked up along the way, either in jazz arranging courses, taking private lessons, or just by trial and error. So the purpose of these videos is to serve as a reference primarily for my students. That's the original step. So we can either embellish what we talk about in our lessons or serve as a reinforcement for what we talk about in our lessons. But I hope other students will take advantage of these as well and find some benefit in checking them out. So, excuse me, checking my notes here. Yeah, that covers the first part. We'll call this part the mission statement, or the task list. What are we trying to accomplish here? So the second video in this series, which I'm going to, and I will include links to all of these videos in the description. Each one of the 4 videos will have the other 3 videos linked in the description. The second one is going to start with the most common starting points for this. You're in the band, whether you have talked your way in or been invited in by the band director, you're going to play vibes in the school big band. At some point, you will get a stack of parts, a stack of music, and it could be old-fashioned printed parts. It could be a file folder with PDFs on your phone or computer. You're going to get a bunch of music from the director, and with the salutation, good luck, figure something out. So this is for you guys to try to smooth the process along, give you some information that you might need as you're doing this. Most of the time, you're going to get a piano part or possibly a guitar part, some sort of rhythm section part, piano and guitar. Piano, the vast majority of the time, most of the time, it was a piano part that I got. And again, same for my students. That'll be the topic of video one. That's your source material. How do you adapt? What do you need to know to adapt that to the vibraphone? The second video is going to be using horn parts, saxophones, trumpets, trombones, using one of those as your starting point and what you need to know to adapt that to the vibraphone. Primarily, we'll get into transposition, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Video 4, we'll deal with some ideas for coming up with new material, things that are not already existing in the arrangement. Because this is what you're doing. You are basically taking on the mantle, the title, the job description of arranger from the original arranger. Arranger will take a piece of music, could be an original composition of theirs, could be a jazz standard, could be a pop song, could be any source material, and adapt it, arrange it for a particular ensemble. You can arrange for big band in this case, for a jazz quintet, for a concert band, for a string orchestra, for a saxophone quintet, for a marimba band, etc. You can arrange for basically any ensemble, but you're taking the material and adapting it so the ensemble can play it successfully. And here it's as though the original arranger, has come back and said, I should have included a vibraphone part with this arrangement. What do I want my vibes player to do? The difference is, instead of the original arranger, it's you, the student, who has to come up with this. So we'll talk a little bit more in the third video about coming up with parts originally like an arranger would. But for the most part, what we're going to deal with in the first couple of videos is orchestration. Something's already written. The things that an arranger deals with, picking out the key the piece is going to be in, the form, who gets the solo, who plays the melody in this section, is there an introduction, etc., etc. What style is the piece in? Those are all pretty much decided. You're not going to be really not going to be doing anything in terms of making changes to those charts when in your school band. So basically, it's taking what's there and adapting that. Boy, would it be nice if I doubled that on the vibraphone. That's our starting point on this. Fourth video, we'll get into new material. So, in the interest of keeping it expeditious, we'll move on. Thank you for checking out this video. The first video in terms of the actual doing of this, starting with the piano and guitar parts, will follow after this one. Link in the description. If you are a student who has done this and want to share your challenges, your success stories, I welcome that. Please, that's why God created the comment section. Or if you're a band director or a gentleman reached out to me across the other side of the country in California discussing this very topic. He recently wrote an article for an educational publication. If it's available publicly, I will include a link to that because he had some great ideas and really dovetailed a lot of things that I'm going to talk about here, or I should say complemented a lot of things I'm going to talk about here. Between the two of us, really filled in the gaps. I suspect it might not be a bad idea to do an interview at some point, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So we will move on, wrap up this video, and move on to the next one. One last thing I'm going to mention in this one is not going to be much playing in these videos. This is mainly informational. The fourth video, I'll be playing some examples here. I'll be playing it on keyboard. I won't be playing it on vibes because I want to be able to play a bass line or chords with my left hand. What I'm not going to do in this video is take an existing arrangement and walk you through creating a specific vibraphone part. I could do that, and I may do that in a future video, but it really behooves the player, our student in this case, to get in there, try some different things, and develop your own creative choices, your own sensibilities, your sense of style, investigate existing arrangements that include vibraphone, and develop those abilities on your own. Because you could take an existing arrangement and invite 10 different vibraphonists to come up with a part for it, and you would come up with 10 distinct vibraphone parts. There are just too many variables. One will have the vibes playing the melody here, another one will have the vibes playing a melody in this section, and then the vibes aren't even playing in this section, but they're playing chords over here, and there's too many possibilities. I could give you a formula, but it would be artificial. It'd be something I would just be creating for this video, and it might not work for every arrangement. So it's better to get in there, deal with the frustration of not having, a concrete formula to go off of. You'll start to develop your own abilities. Trust your sensibilities, and trust your ears. Hopefully, you'll probably be hearing me say that a number of times in the course of the video. Trust your ears and trust the results. So, looking at the clock as the video is recording, I'm blowing past the expeditious point here. So we'll wrap this one up. This time we'll actually wrap it up. Video 2, starting with piano and guitar parts, will follow this one. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope you check out the rest of the series. Thanks for watching.